Hello, and welcome to the Hypno Travelers on the Magical Psyche Highway podcast. That's right. Your host and tour guide is Scott Prevett, a healer, hypnotist, and a magician. And your bus driver is Jason Gobelli, also a hypnotist, an entrepreneur, and a spiritual guide. Disclaimer, neither Jason, Scott, or any of our guests here today are licensed professional psychologists or psychiatrists. So please don't make any changes to any medication or treatments that you are currently on based on the conversation that you hear here today. Just hop on the bus and enjoy the ride. Trip with us on the Inner Revelation bus. That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Jason. Welcome back to the Hypno Travelers on the Magical Psyche Highway, and we are excited today. We got a great guest. We got Summer Jean. Now, Scott's not going to be with us today. He had to go to the doctor, so you're just stuck with me. But better yet, we got Summer, so we know it's going to be awesome. Summer, how are you? How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me, Jason.
Wonderful, wonderful. We're glad you're here, and we're looking forward to traveling down your Magical Psyche Highway.
That's right.
That's right. So let's get started right away. Who are you and what do you do?
Well, I go by the name of Summer Jean, and I really believe that I do the coolest. I feel like I have the coolest job in history. I use a plethora of modalities for healing, for energy work, for people understanding themselves and how they fit in this world.
Beautiful. So let's talk about these modalities. What are these modalities and what are you all about?
Yeah, so in my psychotherapy practice, I work with psychedelic assisted therapy. So I work with psilocybin. You can see that cute little den back there. That's where I work with Iris Yoga Nidra meditation or somebody that is in a guided medicine journey. So modalities I use, psilocybin. I work with Tibetan singing bowls, sound therapy. I work with Iris Yoga Nidra meditation. I work somatically through yoga therapy. And I'm really, really big on cognitive behavioral therapy for understanding base foundation of how our mind and body is connected and internal family systems.
Nice. So let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah.
How is our mind and body connected?
Well, we've got a part of us that is not a part, which is our soul. It's our authentic, genuine essence, our spirit, right? And then we have part aspects of our personality, some would refer to as the ego. So the ego has many aspects of our personality. And so really any healing work is within the different layers of the physical body, physiological, mental body, emotional body, our energy body, our subtle body. And then we can go deeper and deeper into the psyche within the etheric bodies, right?
And so what do you do and what's your favorite modality to use? Is it the bowls? Is it the energy work? Do you combine them all together? What are you all about?
You know, I love all of them with so much heart. The joy of having these modalities is that when I work with a client, somebody comes into me, our blueprint is so individually designed that it's really not having one favorite modality that I push. It's meeting the client where they're at in their soul's journey, where they're at in their human journey, what is happening in their life, and then getting to know the client of how to weave the modalities through their experience. It's really individual, meeting the client through their needs.
Nice. So it's individual. However,
Yeah.
you said you do family work as well. So that puts a different level into it. So how does that work?
Yeah, I'm a systems therapist. You know, we have a system within ourselves, and then we are human beings that live and operate in systems or networks. You know, so I work with children all the way up to, I mean, I've helped people transition through death and elderly age. That to be in a family is to have the reflection within a system. So it's still, instead of putting blame outside of you, it's learning how to see yourself within the reflection of the mirror of whatever the relationship is, a child, a father, a partner, maybe even an employee, we could call a family work within a system, right? Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. So now that we're here, do you use like guided meditation and stuff like this to help them get to a different state?
Yes. It's very close. It's very close to hypnosis. So when I'm in a co-meditation, I get to drop it down into the slower brain waves, right? Into theta and delta. People are corresponding with me, but I don't tell them where to go. I don't suggest where to go. So in the work that I do in a co-meditative state or a dyad, I'm guiding them in points where they get stuck. I'm helping them to meet different parts or personality aspects, or maybe even emotional energies, right? We're sitting with a part that has deep sadness. So it's a complex system that we all are operating at between the mind and the body and the energetics of lifetimes, really.
Hey, Summer,
Yeah.
what's this 4Vs thing that you got going on?
Yeah. 4Vs stands for values, virtues, victories, and vision. So the first two, people aren't raised with the internal questioning of what are my highest values? What am I willing to die for? What am I willing to work hard for, to have self-discipline for? What are the things that I most value in this life? Virtues is, what are my morals? What are my ethics? Where's my sense of integrity, wisdom, justice, right? So values and virtues, those are foundational pondering points of the question, who am I? And then we switch into victories. So many people are recursively, negatively thinking victories are the moments that you can say, I did it. So I always work with clients to have your gratitudes in the morning, your gratitude practice in the morning, and then your victory practice at night. And for some people, a victory could just be, you know what, I got out of bed today and I showered. It doesn't have to be this amazing thing, accomplishment. It can be today, here's where my energy was, and I can say I did it, right? So that's victory. And then vision is, we have to be able to turn on imagination. We have to be able to get creative in what we're creating, because either way you're creating, right? So the vision is holding the energy and experiencing that in the present centered being, feeling that into the body, calling it into the body so that we know where we're going from the present state of values, virtues, practicing our victories, and creating the vision of who we are and where we're going, right? That's an anchor point. So put them all together and it teaches you a roadmap into who you are and the creator, the energy, the power that you have in you.
Sounds like you got a book there.
Bro, I know it. I know it. I've already started writing my book, actually. Yeah.
Okay. So what would you define it and how would you put it, your method and your modality, how would you describe it?
When we're in a co-meditation, and that's just one of the modalities I use. It's not, you get into the hypnagogic states where you're consciously aware, but you're deeper into the energetics of emotions, feelings, body sensations. You can kind of dissociate from the thing that would normally activate. You can be in the present centered part of the brain while observing the things, emotions, or a part of you that holds a particular belief or a fear, right?
Hmm?
Mhm.
Got it. Got it. So you detach and you separate and you look at it from an outer person looking down, like in a third party.
Yeah, from your source energy, from your higher self energy, right?
Nice, nice,
Mm.
nice. So so we do this, we do the other things. You got all kinds of things that you were doing, but when was the first time? That time you had that aha moment. Like, you know what? I'm really going to be able to help people. This is really cool. When did this aha moment happen?
That is a really great question. I'm just a lifetime student, and I have studied astrology since I was about 10 years old. I just really dove into studying the stars and Greek and Roman mythology, and always trying to make sense of the human experience since the time I was a little girl. So I don't know how to answer if I ever had an aha moment, because I feel like I've always been in such a high asking God, or whatever that energy is that people call it, these deeper questions of making sense. Why is there so much pain and suffering in this world? Why, if we're doing healing work, why are we not really healing? Like, these are questions as a little girl that I would sit with. I first tried to commit suicide when I was 13 in my own pain. And it just threw me into this, like, as a child, how? Like, you know what I mean? I don't want to be here. Get me out of here. I'm done. So maybe it was through my own personal experiences that I knew that I was called to understand things at a deeper level and to work with people, guide people through their own suffering and whatnot. But I just think it's who I am. I just think it's the soul's path, if we want to call that dharma, or the stars.
So at 13, when you felt that pain and you were going through that pain, what helped
Yeah.
you through that pain?
What helped me through that pain?
Yes.
I failed.
And
I failed in follow. I failed in um, actually stopping my heartbeat. So it wasn't my time to go. It does not mean that pain and suffering ended, because it actually got worse after that for me. But honestly, there was, over time, I started going to therapists. They would refer me to a therapist. They would refer me. And it's like I started with my school counselor, and then I started with a family therapist, and then I started with a more clinical therapist, and then they put me to a psychoanalysis, and then I had to go through ink blot test, and they were wanting me to go into a home for boys and girls. And my dad was in the psychoanalysis psychotherapist office with me, and I fell asleep. And I woke up to my dad grabbing me and saying, he was so mad, and his eyes were tearing up, saying, "We're done. We're done with this." And I never went back to therapy again until high school, until I was a little bit older, which was a family therapist. Um, and no more talk of sending me away. Like, I think it was just that moment that my dad had clarity that this stuff isn't working,
Mhm.
because I was made to be the problem. And then in that moment, I think my dad just saw where he needed to pour in. Like, it's tearing me up a little bit. Um, because over time, I can see where he started showing up for me more and more.
So out of love, your dad really saved you.
Yeah, and just never gave up. But I think it was an awakening for him.
Nice. And
Yeah.
you have your awakening.
Yeah. I mean, and it's part of why I work with family systems.
And so what is it that you do with the family systems? How does that work?
Well, I mean, my role as a psychotherapist is a teacher. I teach. I teach people how to communicate for their parts, not from their parts, but for their parts.
Mhm.
I teach people energies at which they're bringing into the home or into the relationship. So a lot of times, let's say, since we're working with families, I'm working with a 13-year-old that is very depressed and wants to commit suicide. Let's say I'm working with my own my own little self. And they have to be able to feel safe enough to bring that into the family structure that isn't providing an emotional connection for them. And we have to restructure that family structure to provide an emotional connection to where they have a sense of belonging rather than such a disconnection or a pain, right?
So you're dealing with multiple pieces at the same time.
Absolutely. And that's not even working with families, that's working with just the human experience.
So you do a lot of parts work then.
All parts work, whether that's outside of us or inside of us. Internal family systems is internal parts work. When we're sitting with psilocybin,
Mhm.
that medicine, which is so good at down regulating the default network, the mode in which we're always trying to figure stuff out through the ego. The I, me, my network is what one of my teachers calls it. And it's usually pretty negative based. Psilocybin down regulates that. It softens it, it quiets it. And then it turns on the present centered network. So it turns on networks that normally wouldn't be turned on for most people. Most people don't have like an active meditation practice, right? They stay in alpha and beta brain waves. So it slows that down. And then it turns on the present network where we can get into delta, theta, maybe even gamma as we're meeting the parts.
So is
So
this something you use all the time, the psilocybin, or can you just do it without that?
you can do it without that. It depends on what the individual is seeking and where they're at in their life.
Mhm.
Yeah, we are the medicine. I believe very strongly we are the medicine. We don't need the medicine, but it helps get people there so they can connect with source energy, with that higher sense of self. Which normally, if people don't have an active practice, that's blocked because their ego is so strong or parts are so strong. They're so identified.
So let's talk about that then. You were saying that you're one of your mentors. So who are these mentors? Let's talk about these mentors and who they were and help change your life. Other than it sounds to me like your dad was probably your first mentor.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I would definitely have to say my dad. Um, for sound therapy, um, I have a beautiful teacher. He's German. He's a music therapist and a sound therapist, and he travels to India and he he tests the frequency of each singing bowl that he brings back. Um, so he's a huge mentor because he makes sense of all the metaphysical aspects within healing. And then my meditation teacher, I Rest Meditation, his name is Richard Miller. He's a clinical psychologist that again makes sense of all the Eastern understanding in a very Western clinical way. Internal family systems, Dick Schwartz, he's kind of the leading founder of internal family systems, parts work. That's some of them. There's a lot of mentors. I could even say Plato, he's a huge mentor. Da Vinci, as a creator, like all the Renaissance artists and philosophers through Stoicism, major mentors.
So you're very much into Stoicism then, huh?
Yes, which is why I love CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, because that is based off of Stoicism.
So what's your Stoic theories like?
Well, really, that we come from universal source, which is cosmos. We come from cosmos, and we have to work with the logos, with the mind. We have to work with the ego. We have to work with the energies of the mind, realize that we are more than our thoughts, while also being able to have a maturity of emotions and feelings and body sensations. And it's about learning how to realize we're more than our thoughts, we're more than our emotions, but we can tap into the energies in which they present. And that's how our guides are speaking to us.
Also, you're using spirit guides as well then.
Oh, yeah. All of the metaphysical, there's so much more that we don't see than what the five senses do see.
So let's talk about that. Where do you pull these spirit guides from people at, and how do you get in touch with these spirit guides, or let these people come in touch with their own? How do you get this? Talk to me
I
about
guide them inward.
you
Yeah.
guide them inward.
It's all there. It's all there within the modalities that is right for that individual. Is I get to hold the space. I have a personal mantra that is, I'm a lighthouse guiding us safely within. Some people come to me, they need healing. I get to guide them in to their own internal healer.
So this
Right.
does sound like a form of hypnosis then.
Yeah. Yeah. But I've never called myself a hypnotist. I've never taken on that label because I really believe it's about bringing them inward and in that space. And so it's teaching them. It's just, I always think of my hands like on the back of someone saying, I've got you, let's keep going, you know? So we can get stuck in pain. We can get stuck in old programs. We can get stuck in so many areas within the psyche that takes us out, you know? So,
Well, has anybody been on the back of you, holding you and guiding you through? Who has that been, and what's that like?
oh, all of my teachers, all of the people that I named previously just a few minutes ago, absolutely, and more. I have so many mentors.
Anyone that really stands out?
Ah, I mean, I can't. It's like the question of what's your favorite modality, you know? No, I just my sound teacher, when you're working with sound, so let's say all of those, I don't know if you can see, but there's some of my bowls, right?
You see them?
Yeah. So each one, when I'm doing a sound treatment, my client comes in and lays on a massage table, and I'm putting the bowls on their body, to the side, above their head, under the table. And so we're activating within that specific frequency. Now I had to go in and do my own internal work. So when I'm using a frequency, it's not activating my shit.
Nice.
Yeah, so I have to be open and present, not in my pain body, if you will, not in my past experiences. So, I mean, that teacher really held me quite high. All of them, they've all been different past teachings for that specific time that each teacher has held me in, working through my stuff as you're learning to hold that space for somebody else.
Nice.
I really believe you can only go as far as you've gone. So,
Well, speaking about going further than we've gone, if
mhm.
you visualize yourself 10 years from now, where do you think you're going to be?
I have a vision of being in nature, having my home and a little place that is where people come to me. And I just envision there's a creek or a river so we can hear the sounds of the water. I can hear birds in this place, and through word of mouth, people will come to me and they'll know on their path when the right time is that they will step into this kind of work. This kind of work is not bypassing work. So that's where I see myself at my home in nature, people coming to this space for their own internal, external work where they can really begin to choose ascension and healing. Ascension to me is, again, creating, realizing that we're all creators, and whether we are aware of it or not, we are creating our life. And there are spiritual laws, and whether we realize it or not, these spiritual laws are playing out. And so, yeah, that's where I see myself is in 10 years, my youngest son will be 16 years old and we'll be traveling the world. People will be coming in on their journeys of their soul's path.
Nice. You and your son together. Sounds wonderful. So now that we're messing with timelines, is there
Yeah.
something that you today would want to tell that hurt 13-year-old back then? Anything you would need to tell them or want to tell them?
Yeah, that your pain is your teacher. That your pain is your teacher, and it's not by chance. And it's whether you choose to listen or not. I had the blessing that my dad, through love, I was able to listen to my pain and my teacher. And so, yeah, I don't think pain is coincidence. And even the deepest, darkest pain is still the greatest teacher. In fact, the more it hurts, the greater the teaching is. Just listen and find the right guide to hold you in that space, because you don't have to do it alone. So suicidal parts will have you believe that you're alone and that nobody's going to understand you, and it's going to shame you into disconnecting more and more and more. And that's not true. You can speak for those parts, and you don't have to do it alone. It's just about being with the lesson and teaching, learning.
Nice. Okay, so here's a good question for you.
Okay.
How are our viewers going to get a hold of you? Let's say they want to talk to you and they want to get some of your work. How are they going to get a hold of you?
Yes, thank you. My website is a great tool. They can send me an email. There's a link right on there that we can do a free consultation. Instagram and TikTok, that's also, I'm constantly doing, creating content because I'm a teacher and I want people to have their own knowledge, because knowledge is power. Healing is empowerment. So Instagram, TikTok, my website, those are it.
Summer, what is that website address so that we can put it up there?
Yep, it's Agami, Agami, Agami Karma Therapy.com.
And that's Karma with the K, Karma.
Yep.
Okay, wonderful. Wonderful. So now, is there anything else you want to add?
You know, it's just so, to me, the thing that I want to add is that people understand that we are having this human experience, and that human experience is universal. And there are people that can guide you into being in the human experience, you know, that we are a soul having a human experience. We're not a human having a soul experience. It's like, you know, it's like that energy of tapping into really who am I at the deepest core levels, and bringing that meaning and purpose and connection from that understanding.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So it's been great having you here. I certainly enjoyed it. And it's been awesome traveling down your magical psyche highway. We certainly appreciate it. Now,
Thanks, Jason.
the big question, Summer, what's your words of wisdom for our viewers?
That let pain be your teacher. That the wound is the medicine. And that life can be so joyful when you move through some of that, that you get to lighten up the energy, and that we're all on this path into enlightenment. And what that means is you move through the heavy parts, the dark parts, to really pour in more light. And that's the process that everyone goes through.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again for allowing us to travel down your magical psyche highway. We've certainly enjoyed it. And we just thank you for coming here, and thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be here. And
Yeah, it's my honor. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you. And for our viewers, if you like us, give us a thumbs up. If you think that we're assholes, just give us a thumbs down. We don't care. We're just glad that you're here. We ask that you share us, follow us, send us to a friend, and we hope to see you next week. So thanks for coming, and thanks, Summer, for allowing us to travel down your magical psyche highway. Bye.